I never thought one evening could shatter everything I believed about love. Emily and I had been together for 3 years, and I honestly thought she was the one. We had our ups and downs, sure, but I believed we were solid. That night, she invited me to a cozy restaurant downtown, one of those places with dim lighting and soft jazz playing in the background. I remember thinking, how beautiful she looked, how lucky I was. But then it happened. Her phone, lying on the table between us, lit up with a notification. My eyes caught it before I could even look away. "Can't wait to see you again tonight." My stomach dropped. She didn't notice I saw it. She was too busy, laughing at something on the menu. But in that single moment, every smile, every kiss, every memory we shared suddenly felt like a lie. I wanted to confront her right then and there, to demand answers in front of everyone, but I didn't. Instead, I forced myself to smile, to play along, to act as if nothing had happened. Inside, though, I was spiraling. Who was he? How long had this been going on? Was I just blind this whole time? When we got home, Emily curled up next to me on the couch, resting her head on my chest like she always did, but I couldn't relax. My heart was racing, my mind screaming. Later that night, when she finally fell asleep, I sat there in the dark staring at her phone glowing faintly on the nightstand. My hands trembled as I reached for it. No password. Either she trusted me too much, or she didn't care enough to hide it. I opened her messages, and that's when the truth hit me like a punch to the gut. His name was Ryan. Their conversations were filled with sweet words, secret plans, promises that used to belong to me. I read message after message until my chest felt tight, my throat dry. She wasn't just flirting, she was in deep. She told him things she hadn't said to me in months. I put the phone back down carefully, trying not to wake her. She slept peacefully, completely unaware that her lies had just ripped me apart. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I needed more proof, more answers. If she could look me in the eyes and laugh with me while hiding this, then I had to be smart. I had to know everything before I made my move. The next morning, Emily kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, just like she always did. Her routine was flawless, almost too perfect. She smiled, asked if I wanted her to pick up groceries on the way home, and walked out the door as if nothing was wrong. I stood there, staring at the door after it closed, wondering how she could lie so easily. I couldn't focus on anything that day. At work, I barely heard my colleagues talking, barely saw the numbers on the screen in front of me. My mind replayed every moment with her, every late-night text she sent, every excuse she made about staying late at work, every time she claimed she was too tired. Suddenly, it all made sense. She wasn't tired. She wasn't working late. She was with him. That evening, when she said she had a girls' night, I decided to follow her. I felt sick for even doing it, but I had no choice. I needed the truth. I stayed a few blocks behind her car, careful not to get too close. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched her pull up outside a bar on the edge of town. And then I saw him. Ryan. He was tall, confident, the kind of guy who looked like he knew exactly what he wanted. She stepped out of her car, and the way her face lit up when she saw him, it wasn't the smile she gave me anymore. It was brighter, freer, like he was the one who made her feel alive. I sat there gripping the steering wheel, fighting the urge to storm over and tear the whole scene apart. Instead, I stayed hidden, watching as they hugged, as he kissed her forehead, as she laughed in a way I hadn't heard in months. My hands shook with rage, but also with heartbreak. I thought about leaving, about never looking back, but something in me refused to walk away just yet. When they finally went inside, I pulled out my phone and snapped a photo of them together. Proof. Cold, undeniable proof. My chest ached as I saved it, staring at the screen like it was some kind of cruel joke. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted more than anyone, was living a double life. Driving home alone that night, I felt emptier than I ever had before. But mixed with the pain was a new feeling, determination. If Emily thought she could betray me and get away with it, she was wrong. I wasn't going to confront her blindly. No, I was going to make her admit everything herself. And when the moment came, she wouldn't see it coming. The following days were torture. Every time Emily spoke to me, every time she touched me, I felt like I was living in some twisted play, where she was the lead actress, and I was the fool in the audience. She laughed, cooked dinner, even planned a weekend getaway like nothing was wrong. If I hadn't seen her with my own eyes, I might have believed her, but the photo on my phone was a constant reminder. I'd stare at it late at night, replaying the scene over and over, trying to understand how long it had been going on. Weeks, months, maybe longer. The thought made me sick. I started testing her, subtle questions, small traps to see if she'd slip. I asked about her girls' nights, her long hours at work, even mentioned Ryan casually once. pretending I'd seen him around. Her face didn't flinch. She was good at lying. Too good. One night, she came home smelling faintly of cologne. Not mine. She quickly changed clothes, acting casual, but I noticed. Every detail became evidence. I wrote it all down in a notebook I kept hidden in my desk drawer. Dates, times, excuses, everything. If I was going to confront her, I wanted to be armed with the truth. But here's the worst part. One still loved her. Even knowing what I knew, I couldn't just shut it off. When she curled up next to me in bed, when she kissed my neck, when she whispered, "I love you," before falling asleep, a part of me wanted to believe her. A part of me wanted to erase that night outside the bar, and go back to when things were simple. And yet, another part of me burned with anger. I imagined confronting her, imagined shouting the truth in her face, imagined her breaking down and begging for forgiveness. But I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted. Forgiveness. Maybe I wanted something else, something darker. Because the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. She made me a fool. And if she thought I'd let that go quietly, she didn't know me at all. The breaking point came on a Friday night. Emily said she was staying late at work, but I knew better. I'd already checked her calendar. No late meetings. I followed her again, this time keeping my distance. She didn't go to the office. She went straight to a hotel. My hands shook on the steering wheel as I parked down the street. She walked in like she'd done it 100 times before. Confident. Comfortable. She wasn't just cheating, she was living a double life. I sat there for an hour, maybe more, staring at the glowing hotel sign, wrestling with myself. Part of me wanted to storm inside, catch her in the act, end it all right there. But another part of me thought, no, that's too easy, too simple. She needed to feel what I felt. She needed to know the weight of betrayal, the sting of humiliation. So I left. I went home, poured myself a drink, and opened my notebook. This time, I didn't just write dates and excuses. I started planning. I thought about how she'd react when the truth came crashing down, how Ryan would look when everything was exposed. The anger in me had turned cold, calculated. This wasn't about love anymore. It wasn't even about her lies. It was about control. She'd taken that from me the moment she stepped out with him. Now I was going to take it back. When Emily finally came home, hours later, she kissed me on the cheek like nothing happened. She smelled of perfume and wine. She slipped into bed, whispering, "Long night, babe. I'm exhausted." I stared at the ceiling, my jaw clenched. She had no idea. No idea that I knew everything. No idea that I was done being the fool. And in that moment, as she drifted off to sleep beside me, I promised myself one thing. I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to destroy the world she thought she'd built behind my back. I sat across from Emily in the kitchen, the manila envelope on the table between us like a declaration. My hands didn't shake anymore. Whatever had been coiled inside me had loosened into a lethal calm. She stared at me like a stranger, confused, guilty, and suddenly small. I slid the photos across the table, the hotel receipt, the screenshots, the picture from that night outside the bar. Her eyes flicked to each one and widened, then filled with something I couldn't name. Shame, fear, regret. "You gave me no choice," I said quietly. "You picked secrets over us. You chose him." She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried to apologize. The words came out thin and practiced. I'd heard them before. This time they did nothing. "I called Ryan, not to fight, not to beg. I called to tell him I was done being used." Within an hour, the apartment smelled like bleach and panic. Ryan's messages exploded my phone, angry, pleading, cocky, until a final text arrived. "You're making a mistake." He sounded small behind those words. I didn't make a scene. I didn't kick doors or scream. I uploaded the files to a secure drive, and sent the link to the one person I trusted to make things public, a reporter who'd covered corruption and scams in our city. I wrote a simple note, truth attached, handle responsibly. Then I walked outside and sat on the stoop, breathing. I wanted whatever came next to hurt, but not to destroy me. The article published 2 days later. It was clean and sharp and left no room for spin. Ryan's name was there, tied to fake invoices and diverted funds meant for our future. Emily's messages were quoted. Comments poured in. Some people were against me. Others offered apologies I never asked for. But the law moved faster than gossip. Auditors were in our accounts, and police took statements. Ryan's arrogance curdled into panic. He called, begged, then stopped calling. The aftermath wasn't cinematic. There were court dates, paperwork, and nights I replayed everything until I couldn't feel my face. I lost money that could have fixed roofs and retirement plans. I lost years of shared jokes and small kindnesses. But I didn't lose myself. I rebuilt, slowly, with temp jobs, small clients, honest late nights, and learned a new kind of pride, The pride of someone who refused to be a victim twice. Months later, I passed a coffee shop, and saw them, Ryan, Gaunter, avoiding my gaze, and Emily across the street, looking smaller than I remembered. I didn't walk over. I didn't need to. Walking away had been my answer. Not revenge, not begging, just leaving, and choosing a life where trust came with proof, and love required honesty.